What's up? Welcome to the Fast Break. Andrew Beaton, Daniel Carp, Danny Nolan here to preview and recap Duke men's basketball. Let's start off with the Syracuse game. What an amazing college basketball game it was in the Carrier Dome. Most attended game ever as far as a home and away goes. What did you think of the game, Dan? You were there.
I mean, it was unbelievable to be there in person. The raucous energy of 36,000 people packed into the Carrier Dome, and a game to match the atmosphere, for sure. I mean, you talk about Rasheed Suleiman hitting a buzzer beater to send the game to overtime. A game that really, playing against an undefeated team, a team that's now number one in the country, Duke didn't have much business being in given the circumstances. They had their two best post players foul out. Syracuse was ramming it down their throat. That 2-3 zone was causing a lot of problems, and Duke just kept finding ways to get back into that game. It was unbelievable to watch. I know there were some controversial calls at the end that some people are still a little bit upset about, but the team has moved on, and I think people need to understand that. I know that's the best basketball game that I've ever watched in person, and I think the same can probably be said for a lot of people. I think you just need to appreciate how unbelievable a game that was.
Yeah, and as far as losses go, it was a pretty phenomenal loss. Duke actually went up in the Ken Pom rankings after its loss. And the one game it actually really reminded me of was Duke's loss to Maryland in 2010, in that it was a loss where they played so well, it sort of gives you hope that they can win the national championship. The game was different circumstances. It was Maryland's senior game where Grievous Vasquez went off and hit a shot with 37 seconds left. But it was a game where Duke played so well despite losing and showed a lot of toughness, grit, and passion, where it really gives you faith that they can make a big tournament run.
And when you look at this game, it's actually pretty fascinating. The last couple, not even just Syracuse, Rasheed Suleiman seems to have really taken over that point guard role, which is interesting because Quinn Cook is so good at point guard for this team. What do you think of this shift, and how does this impact the team?
Well, I actually think it's a great thing for the team, because look at the minutes at the beginning of the year, and Quinn was really being worked to the bone. He was playing nearly 40 minutes every game because Tyler Thornton has his positive attributes, but he's not the best ball handler and distributor. And so Rasheed, while he's spending some time on the bench, actually has learned how to play the point guard role, spell Quinn, and Quinn has struggled lately. In that Syracuse game, he was the only guy who wasn't making it rain with threes. He went 1 for 8, so it's good for Coach K to have options in the backcourt.
Yeah, and I definitely think that you're starting to see Quinn Cook hit a little bit of that wall because of the minutes he had to play earlier this year. That's part of the reason why I think he's become a little bit more ineffective right now. And Duke is lucky that Rasheed Suleiman has been able to step up. He's been a really dynamic force for this team in these last few games. And you can really draw learning how to play the point guard all the way back to his experiences this summer playing USA basketball on a team without as many true ball handlers. He had to do that. I think that's one of the places where he learned a lot of these skills.
And so they actually do have to play another basketball game, guys. They just played Wake Forest. Good win for the team, coming back home to Durham. Now they head up to Boston College. And when you look at this team, they have a couple players that really stand out for you, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are two guys that you've been talking about all year with Boston College. They're Olivier Hanlon and Ryan Anderson, two guys that are a staple of this Boston College program. And honestly, it seems like they've been around there forever at this point. They've been playing big minutes since they were freshmen. And there's a good reason why. They're skilled basketball players. They make it really tough for you to guard. And Boston College is a very difficult road environment to play in. So Duke is definitely not taking this game lightly.
Yeah, and it's a Boston College team that many people had pegged as a sleeper going into this year, but they started the year just so dreadfully. They were really out of the conversation from the start. I think they lost their first 3 games of the year to Massachusetts, Providence, and Toledo. And from there, they were just sort of out of it, and they haven't looked great lately. They lost by 10 to UVA in their most recent game, and it's just not a team that was as threatening as many expected it to be.
Maybe representative of the whole conference this year. A little more disappointing than a lot of people thought it was going to be. So you look forward to this game against Boston College. Not exactly the best start in the world. You already mentioned it, Andrew, but you have to pick a score here. So who's going to win this game, Duke or Boston College?
Duke's going to win this game. I mean, I think they'll probably get challenged a little bit early by Boston College. Obviously, this the biggest game on Boston College's schedule. I think Duke's pretty much the biggest game on anybody's schedule. But I say Duke's probably going to win by about 15, 20 points. I'll just peg it at 85-67.
I think a lot of guys are going to really remember the nail-biter there last year and really want to come out with another strong win. They did that against Wake Forest. Despite a slow first few minutes, they came out with another big win. I say Duke romps 87-61.
So Duke heads to Boston College. Quick turnaround for us, though, guys. There's a certain rivalry game that's going to be next Wednesday. We'll have a preview for that in a couple days. But for now, Duke-Boston College, we'll see you there. Andrew Beaton, Daniel Carp, Danny Nolan, have a good one.